The time is finally here for the 20th running of the Livonia 250 at Livonia Raceway for the AARO Amp Energy Racing Series. On the AAA pole for the second time this Livonia weekend, it'll be an AARO car, Todd Bradshaw, the number 98, 7th place points man last year. Wood starting the top spot this time, another Dodge next to him, Brian Hensler, as we go green into those first couple of 17-degree band corners, and Mario Lancer in the 27 for Greg Sauer Racing, challenging for second. He's going to get it on Hensler, and they are double wide all the way back through the field. Bradshaw looks like he's going to lead the first lap. Now into turns 3 and 4. 36 degrees out banking, and the 98 and the 27 separate themselves from the rest of the pack to complete lap 1. And speaking of Greg Sauer Racing, meanwhile, here is the man that owns that team, Greg Sauer himself, winner of the 250 last season. Fended off Mike Oppenheimer and Tyson Lautenschlager for that victory. Came all the way back from 29th place to add his name to that long line of winners, so good on him for that. Casey Lester took over for Michael Carter in the 87 this season after Carter has spent pretty much his whole career in that car, for those of you not as well versed in the intricacies of this sport. And last year, Lester ran what is now the Aflac All-Pro Tour until a mid-season crash injured him and took him out for the rest of the season, but the Rennes team was quite impressed with his performance up to that point that they decided he was a worthy successor to Carter. And meanwhile, 6 laps in, as Brian Hensler and Sauer get a little too close with each other, Mario Lancer might put on our first lead change of the day. He's got the preferred line out of turn number 2. And it looks like he's going to clear the 98 as they head into 3. Yes, give the lead to the 27. This is a lap or 2 later. Casey Lester wants to lead his first official AERS laps with Brian Hensler and Greg Sauer in tow, as well as Mac DiCario. Look at him in the white 96 Buick. And as Lester completes the pass off of 2, keep in mind that if he were to get the victory today, it would not be the first time this team has done it. The aforementioned Michael Carter won it with this 87 operation in 2003 and 2008. Rennes Racing as a whole has also won it 4 additional times, 3 with the now retired 9-time champion Fred Richer, including the inaugural event. That one I think should go without saying, and Roger Rennes himself also won it back in 1995. Here is Jimmy Cohen. And if you just started following the series after, say, 2009, this is probably the first time you've heard of him. He was a regular in the series up until that point, but he couldn't find a decent ride until now with the Porter Racing Corporation as Mike Oppenheimer and Nate Smith in very close quarters. Contact! Nate Smith head on into the wall. Conti's going to be in it. Oppenheimer. Alan Reed's the 98 winner of this event. Bethany Baltano. And that's going to be our first caution of the day here on lap number 10. A huge mess that started off at turn number 4 and will mostly come to rest in turn number 1. Here's a look from the back of Smith's car. And looking at that again, I want to say Smith just didn't have Oppenheimer cleared, tried to turn down on him rather. This team was formerly known as the Black Cat, its car was at least, having sponsorship from Coke Zero for several years, so it doesn't look like they've shaken that even with the paint scheme and sponsor change. This is from the roof of Jeff Parshall now, one of the 3 Skulls Racing Team rookies. Looks like pit road's open, and as you see some of the affected cars in that last wreck rolling in, we're waiting on the lead lap cars. You might have just seen Casey Lester. Kenny Gerald's coming in. There is Sean Donnelly in the Budweiser car. So not very many takers this time. Oh wait, Brian Hensler was the leader a couple laps ago. Will come into pit road. One of the 2 drivers for the Silver Green Racing operation that performed very well in, again, what is now the Aflac All-Pro Tour and decided to make the jump this season. Restart, lap 16. Greg Sauer will be your leader, and the AAA shootout winner, Alex Shates in the Ford Fusion, the man he finished second to, right behind him. Mac DiCario in the Buick is in third. And from the looks of it, I don't think Sauer has had any trouble, at least here, adjusting to that brand new Pontiac Trans Am. The leaders have encountered Jeff Parshall in the number 5, and his car was pretty badly wounded in that wreck. It doesn't look like that's doing the lead lap cars any favors, as he is holding up one of the Rennes cars. That is Tyler Diefer in the number 20, and he's going to suffer the consequences, taking Preston Bell with him, spinning down the back into the grass of turn number 3. No yellow would fly, as they would get their cars back up to speed, and they were out of the racing line when they came to rest, but still a scary situation for both of them, and I doubt they're very happy with Jeff Parshall. Alex Jates wants the lead, and he's taken DiCario, and look at that dark blue car, Ricardo Blanco, the former F1 standout, with them. Blanco, the Brazilian, in the new fourth car for Op Inc. that they had planned for quite some time, including from the beginning of last season, trying to become the first driver ever not from North America to win the 250, as here he is going 3 wide for second place with the man that learned from the best, and that is Tommy Richer, Fred's son, the surprise Ottawa winner last year, and the question on everyone's mind was whether or not he could back it up this year with his full-time ride, and whether or not he even deserved that ride this early. Mario Lancer wants the lead again, as he's got that 80 car for Florence Garth Enterprises behind him, Ross Lowry and Luis Tellez in tow on that inside line, and Alex Yates, now that he's out of the bottom groove, out of the rubber, will fall to the back end of the top 5. And it appears, at least in these early stages, that Greg Sauer Racing could be the team to beat. They have definitely had something figured out for quite a while now here at Livonia, even with those new Pontiacs, and Luis Tellez in the Chevrolet SS. Debut for that model name in this series is going to take the top spot in another SS. Luke Kinzen is trapped behind his Skulls teammate. No Partial is moving up out of the way and going to block the entire outside line, but Kinzen himself, the rookie, moving up and was with Skulls for quite a while on the All-Pro Tour, is now under fire from the 2010 champion of this series, Herb Cilantro, in the 42 for the Giacalone organization. Cilantro finished a solid 5th in points last year, but for the first time in his rather short career, failed to win a race. Needless to say, he wants to redeem that very early, but here goes Ricardo Blanco for the top spot for the first time today. And they were all fixing to go 3 wide for that top spot, but Kinzen is going to back out, and Tommy Richer has to make a sharp defensive move to the bottom to avoid clobbering both those cars. And you might have seen sneaking into the picture there for second Todd Bradshaw, the pole sitter, and Jonathan Ringer, the guy who won his qualifying heat. There he is going for second place with Will Legge. And the ironic note for Ringer here is that he missed this race last season after some inter-team disputes with what was then Carson Racing. He drove the 44 for that organization. He was released, missed this race, and didn't come back until Daytona. You might have surmised by now that the Buick Mac DeCario is rather outdated. You would be correct. He is piloting one of the 08 Lacrosses that made their debut in this series in 2010, but no longer received support from the company in favor of the Regal. Not many teams in the garage were too sure of what they were doing when they brought this car in, but it appears to be working pretty well so far, and we have no word on how long this switch will last, as the leaders are fast approaching the lapped car of Nate Smith. DeCario's going to have to slow up in shock, give Ricardo Blanco the lead, and he is pulling up by several car lengths as the rest of the field is caught in that jumble. Here's DeCario taking the lead back. Chad Lipinski and Brian Hensel, the second place starter, behind him, as the outside line yet again falls victim to the rather slow car of Jeff Partial. Lipinski wants the lead, and he managed to get the nose under the 96 into turn number 1. Let's see if he can complete the pass onto the backstretch, or no, DeCario's got the run on the outside. And Lipinski had, it's safe to say, kind of a mediocre rookie year last season. Managed to rack up a win at Boston early in the season, but dropped by the end of the year to 24th in points. And we mentioned earlier Casey Lester replacing Michael Carter. If you're wondering where he went, he's right there in that 39 car, which was formerly occupied by Nick Cazorro, champion of the first season of that wacky year of AARO Racing, 2009. But Carter decided to leave Verness and jump into that seat for this season. Now, you just saw Keith Davis in the number 88 Chevrolet for Florence Garth Motorsports, winner of the second qualifying race. Here is another car from that stable. Nicholas Hierski, yet another rookie moving up from the Affleck All-Pro Tour, and doing pretty well for himself at the moment, running solidly in the top 5. Mario Lancer right behind him. He's been up there pretty much all day. As the lap car of Tyler Deefer here, first car in line, might end up being a pick for him. Hierski going for the lead on Lipinski. Has he got it? Only just for a bit, as it turns out, because Lancer is going for it just a couple of laps later. Kinzen and Cilantro trying to follow him, and Jates going to round out the top 5 as we near lap 70. Herb Cilantro going 3 wide for the top spot as the leaders clear Nate Smith in the 83. Cilantro might have to fall victim to that run on the outside by Lancer. Yes, Lancer has cleared the 42. That line coming off of 2, not quite as powerful as that magic run off of turn number 4 that people managed to get a Grand Detour, but oh, trouble! Frank Harris turned around in 2. Oppenheimer piles in, that is Preston Bell! and several others involved towards the middle of the pack. Herb Cilantro had fallen back into the top 10, and he was one of the first cars involved in this. There's a view from above his car, Josh Mertz, coming back to the series this year and got a little piece of it. Here is the view from the roof of Harris. And from the looks of it, DiCario and Lancer were trying to keep themselves from wrecking and wound up bouncing into that Chevrolet Impala. So Frank Harris's car emitting that ominous gray smoke, more than likely done for the day. Here is David Lee. What is this? David Lee Bibson piles into Casey Lester under caution. I don't know what that was for, but you can go ahead and chalk this up in another chapter for this miserable Livonia weekend for David Lee Bibson, as you see his smoking car limping back to the pits. Several more takers this time around. Many more takers this time around. As it was 3 Dodge Chargers, Ringer, Hensler, Bradshaw, leading the field down, as it looks like it's going to be pretty much the entire field. Coming in now, let's go to our camera in the front for the race off pit road. Ringer has already left his stall. Bradshaw is down. Hensler is down. Ringer's going to lead the field out. Then it's Hensler, Tellez, Greg Sauer, and Bradshaw falls back to 5th as you see the rest of the field filtering out. Wouldn't be all bad news for him, though, as we're going to cut to a lap or 2 after the restart. He is already going for the lead on his teammate Ringer. And it's Op Inc. 1-2 right now, another team that seems to, at least in part, have known their way around this track for some time this weekend as they are approaching Jeff Parshall. How will this turn out? He's taken the bottom line, so you can give the lead to Ringer. Parshall not giving anyone from second on back any room, or at least he wasn't, as now he moves up to the outside. Common rookie mistake for green kids like him, but nevertheless, it really should be corrected, not letting faster cars by. Will Legge is up to second, the highest he's been all day. And again, he caught the Rookie of the Year title last season in pretty spectacular fashion, I should add, getting 2 wins and 7 top 5s. Jates, meanwhile, was the 10th place pointsman last year and picked up a win at Myrtle Beach, the short track down there in South Carolina. His teammates at Kenny Gerald Zink, though, didn't fare nearly as well, only making a combined 14 races. That said, the team as a whole has had success here and there at restrictor plate tracks, so I would maybe look out for them when we get to Daytona. Here is Todd Bradshaw. Oh, no! Nate Smith just turned him into the wall! Our pole sitter out of it on lap 108. Sean Donnelly involved as well. And that actually all started when, yes, right there, Luis Tellez is going to turn Nate Smith to the left, and that's how he clipped Bradshaw. I'm not sure quite yet if Tellez was just angry with the 83 or if it was just a racing accident, but nevertheless, it took one of the better cars in the field, if not out of the race, out of contention. And there are Jimmy Cohen and Casey Lester snaking through the carnage. Here is the view from the roof of Tellez's number 12 car. There's where they made contact, and there is Bradshaw going head-on into the barrier. And as you look from the back of the 12 car, that is Justin Design, the 09 Season 2 champion, also made it through the wreck. Another look from our cameras high above David Stone Tower, as that's what this section of the grandstands is named after the current president of the series, as well as the 94 winner of the 250. So don't get to think he's just a businessman. And what is this? Under caution, Herb Cilantro has apparently piled into Sean Donnelly. I'm not sure what that was motivated by, or if it was just a simple mishap, but that is almost definitely going to take Cilantro out of contention. Here is the field heading on to pit road yet again. Jonathan Ringer getting held up just a bit by Tyler Deefer. Oh no! Apparently it was Deefer who felt more wronged by that run-in than anyone else. And Ringer is going to lose a couple spots coming out of the pits. As you see, he will restart in 4th as we get ready for the lap 112 restart. Casey Lester in the 87 stayed on the track as everyone else pitted, and he does not appear to be suffering the consequences of that just yet. But look at the car behind him. We haven't talked about Carson Crompton all day in the 84. Another one of the 4 members of the R&R and Smith Alliance. The rookie wants to lead his first laps of the day, and he is going to get it. Powering by the 87 on the inside. But that's going to be short-lived, as here come Jates and Ringer. And we're hearing that Chad Lipinski has radioed in some kind of vibration in the front of that car. But as we go back to the battle for the lead, Lipinski's going into the pits. Yup, left front tire down on that Buick. And he will make an unscheduled pit stop this late in the race. I can't imagine we will be seeing him at the front any longer. The young man from Oshawa, Ontario was looking to be a very strong contender in the last part of this race, but it doesn't really look like it's going to be for much now. Does Mario Lancer also have a problem? He's slowing up as the rest of the field scrambling to get by. Lancer could be in big trouble. We're not quite sure what it is yet, but car number 27 is headed into the pits, done for the day, and we're hearing suspension broke somewhere on that 27 car. So it was a good run by that second team from GSR, but unfortunately they're going to fall short. Alex Yates, Jonathan Ringer doing battle, and look at Will Legge and Emma Trout. Where did she come from? The only Skulls car I don't think we've mentioned yet on the inside is suddenly in the picture. That red, white, and blue number 3, the Samuel Adams machine, is in 3rd place. So, very good run this late in the going by her. As we near 40 laps to go here, Will Legge at the top spot. Trout going for 2nd place. And Kenny Gerald's behind her. Where did he come from? I don't recall him being anywhere all day. I don't know if you do, but Gerald's the 2006 winner of the Livonia 250, however, has not made much noise in the sport unless you count a pole at the 2010 running of the Daytona event. And his teammate Yates doing battle with him now for the final spot in the top 5. So you have to wonder what it would do for that team in general if not only the team itself, but perhaps its flagship driver and its owner could restore his former glory. Gerald's, though, out of Little Rock, Arkansas, is going to fall back to 7th for the time being as Ringer and Blanco, the 2 Op Inc. cars, almost get a little too close to each other's bumpers. Blanco, needless to say, has already adjusted to this sport, I think, regardless of how well he ultimately does today. You may notice Carson Crompton back in the picture, and here he is going back for the lead around Blanco. As they go 3 wide for 2nd, that is Ringer, Legge, and Gerald. Emma Trout in 6th, and Yates has fallen a bit behind. As we are closing on 30 to go, it was Pontiac, Dodge, Buick, Ford that last time by. Pretty diverse lineup, if you ask me. That's one of the great things about this series in recent years. Oh, Jeff Parshall is back at it, holding up the leaders again. Jonathan Ringer looks like, yep, he's going to be the first one through. Carson Crompton gets held up. Emma Trout dives to the bottom at the last second. Gerald's and Yates, the 2 KGI Fords, get lucky, but not so much for everyone on the outside. Yet another lead change. Blanco back to the bottom. Ringer could get caught on the outside, but look at the car right in front of them. That is Joey Kington in the Brandon Wares Buick that just actually the week before they packed up to leave for this race got sponsorship from Nikon. So what a saving grace that was for that team, but it doesn't look like it's doing it any favors because he is, suffice to say, as slow as ever, holding up all the leaders. Back to Jonathan Ringer, I think that it's worth mentioning that this is not actually the first time by a long shot he has run Dodge equipment as, oh no, who is that blowing up? Carson Crompton, the 84! And he was having such a good run way up in the top 10, looking to potentially even contend for the win, and that quite literally, as us commentators are so fond of saying, goes up in smoke. So the Vans Pontiac done on lap 176 after a solid back of the pack to Les and Sauer approaching Jeff Parshall, and Parshall tried to block. That's not going to work, and he goes spinning into the outside wall. No one mercifully hits him, but under caution, yet another stack up. Justin Pisani, Greg Sauer, Casey Lester, Luke Hinson is in it. Oh no, here comes the rest of the field. That's DeCario, Jimmy Cohen. No, I don't think he actually got much damage, but Jerry Richson. My goodness, what even is this? Not sure if there was just a misfire or what on the part of Greg Sauer's car, but there were many good cars that just did not need that at all, especially with only 15 laps to go, as here is the restart. Blanco with the lead, Ringer second, Jace the shootout winner third, his teammate Gerald's behind him, Trout the rookie rounding out the top 5. How much of an issue will the lapped cars be? Kington is going to be the first one for Blanco to clear, as he is still trapped on the outside. Second, third, and fourth place going 3 wide behind Blanco. Can they make that work, especially with Lipinski and Kington in front of them? I don't think so. I think Charles is probably regretting that right about now, but this is a bit later, as Kington actually appears to have gotten a bit more up to speed. Blanco still with the top spot, and Gerald's gets to second. Trout wants that spot from him as Lipinski nearly brushes the wall. that car is a lap down after coming to pit road for that tire problem earlier on. As you may have just noticed at the bottom of your screen, there he is in 5th place. Luis Tellez has gone back into the picture. Brian Hensler as well in the 10, the outside pole sitter, back into it as we are fast closing on 10 to go. Here is Kington Lipinski, contact! Will Legge gets taken with him! The left cars were battling for real estate and swept up a potential contender in their wake. One of the most unfortunate incidents I think I've seen yet this Livonia weekend of a potential contender being denied victory, and again, this Livonia weekend. That's saying a lot. Ringer with the lead now, Jate second, as the inside line clears the lapped car of Tommy Richer. Blanco and Gerald's getting held up. And Tellez to third. Alex Jate's making an early move. The Buffalo Wild Wings car past Jerry Richardson as Ringer now gets held up by Richardson and gives second to Luis Tellez, third to Emma Trout. But she's going to get caught on the outside. Tellez back to the bottom for the lead for the first time today. Denying Jates the Livonia sweep perhaps of the shootout and the 250. Lipinski again is a lap down. No threat to them. Luis Tellez, after barely sneaking into the top 10 in the later stages of the race, finds himself in the lead with just under a mile to go at the storied Livonia Raceway. Ringer back to second. I don't think he can get up there, Go. He'll have to get through Lipinski, and getting through lapped cars has been no easy task today. Tellez coming off a 4 for the final time. He will see victory in the Livonia 250 in 2014. A great drive by the 2010 Daytona winner, and quite the contrast this is to the early part of his career where he was actually known as, I believe it was the Barrel Roll King due to his frequent crashes. So this victory will definitely cement the improvement, I think, of Luis Tellez. He takes it over Jonathan Ringer, so close to redemption after all the drama of last year before this race. How about Jimmy Cohen as well, coming all the way up to third? He was pretty anonymous for most of the race, but I say that's a solid way to make your return to the series, especially at Livonia. Alex Jates, the shootout winner, will come across the line in 4th place, and Kenny Geralds makes it a 4-5 for that team. Ricardo Blanco will finish 6th, Emma Trout 7th, a solid showing from that newcomer, but we'll have to wait and see how she performs over the rest of the season now that the Livonia hype can die down a bit. Ryan Hensler will come home in 8th. Keith Davis is the highest finishing Florence Garth car. He comes home in 9th. And Bruce Wilkinson for the Matt Conti team comes home in 10th. I'd like to thank you for joining us for the Livonia 250. It was certainly another very memorable edition of the race. More than worthy of its 20th running, I think, as you see the points on screen, which are the same as the results as this was, again, the first points race of the season. Next time at AARO, we head to the Boston International Speedway for the Ford 200. Don't miss it, it'll be here sooner than you think. I'm Austin Hack, and it's been a pleasure.